This is a special leadership briefing from the 10 Commandments of Leadership podcast series. Normally, our podcast episodes drop at 4 p.m. Central Time. But breaking news today presents a tragic leadership case study unfolding in real time. According to a March 11 report from the New York Times, a preliminary U.S. military investigation has concluded that an American missile strike destroyed an elementary school in Iran, killing approximately 175 people, most of them children. And the cause appears to be outdated intelligence data. Now, for anyone who studies leadership, this tragedy raises a critical question. What happens when leaders fail to verify the truth before acting? In the leadership training work that I do around Ego-holism Recovering, we teach emerging leaders that progress begins with 3 simple but powerful precepts. We call it the TOP leadership model. First, T, target the problem. And then O, own the problem. And then P, proceed to take action. And once action begins, the first discipline, responsible leadership, the first discipline of responsible leadership is what we call glance back quickly before driving forward. Glance back quickly before driving forward. Not to dwell on history, but to verify information, to confirm the facts, to make sure the data guiding decisions is accurate, especially when human lives are at stake. According to the reporting from the New York Times, the U.S. military was targeting an Iranian naval facility. However, the coordinates used for the strike were based on outdated intelligence data that identified a nearby building as part of that military base. But that building had been converted into an elementary school years earlier. When a Tomahawk missile strike occurred on February 28th, it destroyed that school building and reportedly killed about 175 civilians, most of them children. Even more troubling, President Donald Trump initially suggested that Iran might be responsible for the strike. However, Tomahawk cruise missiles are used by the United States and its allies, not by Iran. Now, investigations are still underway, but regardless of the final findings, this tragic event presents a powerful leadership lesson. Leadership mistakes happen, even in the most sophisticated organizations, even in the most advanced militaries in the world. But leadership is not defined by the absence of mistakes. In my Ego-holism Recovering framework, the greater danger leaders face is not simply bad information. The real danger is ego-holism, a distorted sense of self. Ego resists corrections. Ego resists accountability. Ego looks for someone else to blame. But recovering ego-holism leadership takes a very different approach. It targets the problem. It owns the problem, and then it proceeds responsibly to corrective action. When those steps are skipped, mistakes compound. And sometimes the consequences are devastating. This is why the first step in our leadership recovery framework is so important. Glance back quickly before moving forward, before issuing statements, before assigning blame, before doubling down. Responsible leadership pauses long enough to verify the facts. That discipline protects organizations. It protects credibility, and sometimes it protects human lives. The tragedy in Iran is being investigated in the days ahead, but the leadership lesson is already clear. When leaders fail to target the problem clearly, when they fail to own up to their mistakes honestly, and when they proceed without verifying the facts, then ego begins to drive decision-making. And when ego becomes the commander, leadership breaks down. Today's question for today's leaders everywhere is simple. When mistakes happen, and they will happen, will we defend ourselves first, or will we have the courage to target the problem, own the problem, and proceed to corrective action? Because real leadership begins with accountability. And sometimes the most important step forward begins with humility, to glance back quickly. This has been a special leadership briefing from the 10 Commandments of Leadership. Our regularly scheduled podcast episode entitled High Tech plus High Touch plus Higher Power equals Fruitfulness will still drop at 4 p.m. Central Time today. But until then, remember, and remember this well, leadership is not about protecting ego. It's about protecting the truth. See you later today for the 10 Commandments of Leadership podcast, regularly scheduled at 4 p.m. Central Time, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We'll see you then, and we'll see you there. Thank you.